So the vortex we are talking about this evening, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. I know I did put in the group by mistake manifestation, but it is, you are right, Hilary, it is the vortex.
Mind you, to manifest well, it's good to have a good understanding of the vortex, isn't it?
Yeah, we keep losing you, Hilary.
Maybe I'll go upstairs. Oh, yeah, maybe. I don't know if I want to do that though, because it's a bit weird when I go up the stairs, isn't it?
Let's see how we go.
Yeah, let's see how we go.
Yeah.
No, I think you're. I think you are right. It's about. You don't have to call it the vortex,
No,
as we were discussing
absolutely.
the other night. But it is a basic premise, isn't it, of the whole manifestation process, which is that bit about vibrating at the right frequency.
Yeah.
And making sure that you are in alignment. I read something really, really interesting the other day. And basically, it was somebody just saying, get out of your own way, because that interferes with the vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, that's the same as resistance, isn't it? It's we're the only ones that cause our own resistance.
Yeah, but resistance can come in many forms, can't it? It can come in that holding on too tightly. It can come in do you
doubt?
really doubt? That's it. Yeah, in that doubt, and also inconsistency.
Yeah, or being stuck in what is.
Yes, yeah, not being able to sort of move forward. And it was really interesting because I just sort of sat there and I thought, do you know what, the way around that is just to tell yourself that your soul, your higher self, your higher being, whatever you want to call it, knows what you want and is continuously engaging with the universe. And then I thought, well, okay, if that's the case, why don't we always get everything we want? And I thought, because people aren't in tune with it. So what the soul is actually communicating and vibrating, that is, if you like, that conduit for the vibration, it is constantly sending it's constantly transmitting what you focus on. And if you're not in tune with everything and what you're focusing on is negative, that's what it's transmitting.
Yeah.
You're not having that connection.
Well, no, and without that connection, you're going to stay where you are, aren't you?
Or things will get worse.
Yeah. But on the subject of manifesting, I started this week and I needed, and it wasn't a huge amount, it was just a small amount of money. And I woke up Monday morning and I thought, to get from Monday to Friday, and with what I want to do this week, I needed a small amount of money. Even Tuesday morning, that money was not there. By lunchtime, the money was in my hand.
Brilliant.
And do you know what? As soon as I got the money, I realised that it had come to me. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, I couldn't stop grinning. And my mate said to me, "What's up with it?" I goes, "Nothing, don't matter." Because obviously not everybody's in tune with what, they'll think you've gone doolally and nutty. But it was just amazing. As I say, it wasn't a vast amount of money, but the bit about I am a money magnet and money loves me, it comes when I call. I thought, yeah, it certainly came when I called. From Monday to Tuesday, it was there.
Is it Abraham Hicks that says it is as easy to manifest a penny as it is to manifest a castle?
A button as it is a castle.
Button, that's it. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter that it was a small amount. You could have asked for a vast amount of money.
Yeah, but it was just so interesting to see, and I think when it happens to you, you get this joy, because although you believe in it, when it actually happens, there's just a lovely feeling, isn't it? A lovely pleasure about it, and just a.
Well, that's what Abraham Hicks talks about. The universe will surprise and delight you. Because it does, and it even, you know, the littlest things like a parking space right outside where you want to be, or I don't know, you know, missing the traffic because you've gone a different way, or you know, whatever. It's just those
all the
little
green
things.
lights on your route so that you
Amazing.
Or having an impulse to turn a certain way and then something happens, or you hear that something's gone wrong the other way or something. Just those little things.
One time where our office used to be, there were two ways I could go home, and one is a very, very, very busy A road, and the other is sort of round B roads, and it's through the Dedham Vale, so it's very pretty and everything. But usually I would choose the A road because it is the quicker route. But this one time I thought, no, I'm going to go the B road actually, because I was leaving early for some reason. And I went down the B road and I saw a sign for mind body fair thing for the Saturday. I thought, you know what, I'm going to go to that. I've not got anything on this Saturday. I'm going to go. That is where I picked up my first Abraham Hicks book. I'd never heard of Abraham Hicks before.
Oh wow!
Nice.
And I was just really nudged to go that way.
Yeah, that's lovely. That yeah.
And it is following those little nudges, isn't it? It's just then there's not usually anything big, but that's why Abraham says that you know, yes, it is as easy to manifest a button as a castle as a button, but we've got more resistance against the castle.
Yes,
we don't have the belief.
Therefore, we don't believe. Yeah, we don't believe. But a button, and actually, it's really. I've got a funny story about manifesting a button. And I can't remember what it was. Can't remember the exact story, but I needed a button for something. And I found one in the most random place. And I think it had something to do with a quilt cover. Maybe I was disposing of one and they had a button that matched something I exactly needed or something. But I remember thinking, oh, that's really weird. Because that's the perfect one.
Well, I set out the other day, because I found, I opened the passenger side of my car after I dropped Henry off at school, and I found 20 pence on the well. So thank you very much. And I've got this tin where I put all the little bits and pieces. So I decided to have a look in other places that where I put the money, and I knew I'd cleared them out and put them in this tin, but I thought I'd have another look. I found so many coins all in these places that I knew I'd cleared out, and it was really, really, I mean, it was lovely, but it was really, I thought, I know I've cleared these out, but there's more. And it was just that thing of there's always more. It's an endless supply, always more. And I was just thinking, you know, about, I mean, as you know, I've said to you before, I am fascinated by the physical universe and all the images that coming out of the new telescope and all that sort of thing. It just absolutely fascinates me. And Henry was talking about it on the way to school the other day, and he was talking about how old the universe is. And I said, you know what I find really fascinating about that? There is no time in the universe. So how can we age it? We're the only ones that create time. Time doesn't exist anywhere else.
No.
So how can we age it? How can we date it? How can we say that it's 14.8 billion rotations of the Earth around the sun? You can't measure it that way, can you?
No.
It's endless and ageless. And I thought, you think about it, and it is continuously creating new galaxies, continuously creating new solar systems, continuously creating new planets. And that is the metaphor for that continuous, endless supply of growth and abundance and life. And it's just constant, constant, constant.
Yeah, absolutely. We just have to be open to it.
Yeah.
It never stays still. It isn't static. It's completely dynamic.
Absolutely.
Hiding.
But I think it's really difficult to tune into that if we, listen to the news, the media, because if you listen to that, it's all doom and gloom. We're all going to,
in a handbasket.
Well, I'm going to say we're all going to die, but none of us are getting out alive. So there's no shock there. But it's, we should all be in fear. We should all be worried about this. We should be worried about that. And when you buy into it, that it becomes your reality.
I was this interview I gave the other day for work. The journalist guy who runs the online newspaper said there'd been a murder in in the area where he runs his newspaper. He said, "No, I hate running those stories," but he said they get the most impressions.
Yeah.
And the thing is, as we've said before, the brain, the primal brain with the conscious mind, is geared towards keeping us safe. And that makes it inherently negative. So it feeds off of those negative stories. But we are not our minds. And we have the ability to challenge that and say, thank you for keeping us safe. Thank you for doing what you do, because you do a wonderful job of it. But my reality is of growth, prosperity, abundance, love, all of those things. Yes, that this stuff happens, but it's a microcosm of what's going on in people's everyday lives. It's not the full truth.
No, and there are plenty of things that are going on in the world that might be true, but we may not want to experience it. And just because I know Abraham say this a lot, just because it's true doesn't necessarily mean that you have to look at it. We are living we're very lucky. We're living in a country that's got running water, gas and electricity to our homes, Wi-Fi, all that. But there are people living in this world many people living in this world that don't have any of those things. But we don't focus on that because it isn't our reality. But if we did, we could soon end up there, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But we do live in a society, unfortunately, that tells us that, this is wrong, that's wrong. You got to, I mean, I often think if we did everything that we're told we need to do, it wouldn't be possible. You've got to go out and exercise for at least an hour a day. You've got to work 24/7 so that you can earn enough money to save for your retirement. You've got to sleep at least 8 hours a day. You've got to, grow your own vegetables and cook all your own food and raise your own cattle and chop them up yourself. And,
Well, you're not allowed to eat that this week.
Yeah.
That will kill you this week. But last week we were supposed to have it. And next week we'll probably be able to have it again. But the week after they'll say, no, that's bad for you. So if you listen to everything,
yes,
you wouldn't know whether you were coming or going, or if you'd been there.
It's like the food you eat. Right, the food you eat, some foods you eat are bad for you, depending whether your body reacts to that food that you're eating. Right? If you're my husband, it doesn't react to anything. that he eats. For me, it reacts to virtually everything. But it's like Abraham Hicks was saying about if you eat a piece of chocolate and as you're eating it, you are negative about that piece of chocolate, your body will be negative.
Mm-hmm.
But if you eat that piece of chocolate with absolute love and adoration, it's a different, your body accepts it differently.
Absolutely.
And it was so interesting last night because on the news last night, they did this thing and Dave and I kind of went, what? It's not often Dave and I watch the news. And it was that tea has got more caffeine in than coffee. What they failed to say was, they told everybody that they did this on the street, but what they failed to say was, one certain type of coffee has more caffeine than tea, but the 7 others don't. But they didn't tell you that. They just said, they made out that all the coffees you drink have more caffeine than tea. So what's it going to do? It's going to make people drink coffee. And
you mean the other way around? You said they said tea was more caffeinated than...
Yeah, so they'll stop drinking tea because they'll think they're getting caffeine in coffee. But there was only 1 cup of coffee that had more caffeine out of the 7 that was picked.
So caffeine's got less coffee than tea?
Tea has got less caffeine than coffee.
That's why I'm getting confused.
Apart from one brand of coffee. One brand of coffee has got more caffeine than, less caffeine than tea.
Right, yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, less caffeine.
So they said if you drink coffee, you're drinking less caffeine. But what they failed to say was 7 others were a lot higher. One of them in particular was a lot higher than tea, but they didn't say that. And I thought,
no, it doesn't suit the argument.
What a way of getting people to switch what they're doing.
I remember at the beginning
is influencing us hugely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember at the beginning of the pandemic that they were saying that you shouldn't take ibuprofen.
Yes, that's right.
And you couldn't get paracetamol anywhere.
Yeah.
Because, well, for me, I think they probably had a shortage. They'd over-made paracetamol or something, and they wanted to get rid of it. Because then all of a sudden, nothing was announced. Well, not that I know. Nothing was announced about ibuprofen being fine for it, but it was suddenly, it's fine for the virus. It doesn't even affect it. And you just think it's all such a manipulation, and it's just, I don't know the last time, years ago, I watched the news. We
don't watch the news
at all. I don't read newspapers. I turn it over if it comes on the radio.
I read headlines. I just read headlines, that's all.
I sometimes, if I'm in a shop, I might just glance at a headline just to have a bit of a laugh at what they're talking about.
But the thing you said about the chocolate, Rosa, Pam Grout says that as well. I think is it E Squared?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it Pam Grout? I always get
she's definitely done something, because one of her experiments is about the food and blessing your food.
Showing gratitude for your food.
But if you see, there's also that guy about the water, the Japanese guy that did the tests on water and photographed the molecules of water. And if you say to water, I hate you, you're vile, the molecules of it are very, very different than if you just say I love you or thank you before you drink your water.
Energy.
Yeah.
And
it was also, even like listening to classical music made water look much nicer, and it was much more looked in sync and pretty, but like heavy metal music, not good. And actually that's really interesting when you think about the fact, we are mostly water.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
And so what we do totally affects the way we feel. I firmly believe that every illness is firstly in the mind.
Yes, the state of your mind and the stress you put on your bodies through that thought. through that. And invariably it's a negative thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is, I mean, physiologically, when you are stressed, so the brain has the fight or flight, the capacity, and it's primal, and it was designed when we were not at the top of the food chain. We were part of the food chain, and so we would either fight the woolly mammoth or saber-toothed tiger, or we would run away from it, or very occasionally we would freeze. And we still have that response to stress, but it was designed to only be for about 15 or 20 minutes, because basically your digestive system stops, all of your blood and oxygen goes to your muscles to pump them to run, basically, or to fight. So, you know, you get the stories of people who single-handedly lifted a car off of somebody. Well, that's that fight or flight. It's adrenaline, pure adrenaline. And then when it goes past a certain point, it turns into the hormone cortisol, which is not good for you over a prolonged period of time. And your immune system is completely suppressed, because in that 15 minutes, you're not going to eat, you're not going to go to the toilet, and there are lots of bodily functions that your organs don't need to perform for 15 minutes. That's perfectly fine. But when you're looking at it over a very prolonged period of time, it starts to have a really significant impact. And if your immune system is suppressed over a long period of time, we naturally produce cancer cells all the time. It's our immune system that kills them. And I am convinced it was working for Ken Livingstone for 2 years, and the constant stress and pressure that I was under for those 2 years that contributed to me having cancer.
Wow.
Because it was only 3 years after I left that I was diagnosed. And it was at that point, it had been, if I'm being brutally honest, there was a problem probably 18 months to 2 years before, but I buried my head in the sand.
But it's like this Louise Hay story. I mean, her story of curing herself from cancer is incredible, because that was cervical cancer, wasn't it, I believe? And she attributes that because she was raped as a child by a neighbour, as a very young child. And she held on to all that resentment. And actually, within 3 months, when she was letting it go and eating food that she was blessing and that was, you know, obviously very healthy, gone. After doctors told her that no, it wouldn't, you can't do that, it won't happen. But there are lots of stories of people doing that.
There are. I mean, we do, everything is heavily medicated now. Whatever you do, it's medicalized and medicated. Depression is medicalized and medicated. When you just throw tablets or something, actually you need to figure out what's causing it. And so
get outside, go outside, get some exercise in the fresh air, and soak up the sunshine, drink lots of good water, and eat a healthy diet. That's a lot to do with things like depression.
I think when you drink water, and like Hilary and I, we drink the same type of water, but when you drink good quality water that hydrates your body, you're eating good food that nourishes your body, your mind is clearer, so therefore you can think better. When the pharmaceutical companies are not stupid in the fact that they don't want you to die, but they don't want you to be well. So if they can keep you on in some form of medication, then you are in their control.
100%.
I mean, but look at the epidemic in America of addiction. And that is it's not heroin and that sort of thing.
Oh, it's pharmaceutical.
That is it's pharmaceutical.
And how many millions upon millions upon millions do we spend in looking after the health of people.
When it's
Well,
not at all.
It's not at all, because otherwise they're not curing things.
And actually a really good TV program just before we go, because I'm just looking at the time and we're going to have to shoot off. But a really good, if you it was on Disney Plus, but it's called Dope Sick, and it's about opioids. It's about oxycodone. It's so good, really powerful. Makes you really think about it.
I had a running injury in my foot, really painful. I mean, I had palpitations with the pain and everything. And I took one lot of codeine just to go to sleep that night. And then I thought, that's it, I'm not taking any more. Just that one. And a whole, bottle of them. And that was it. No more. Just that one.
Yeah.
Because I'm terrified of being, becoming addicted to something like that.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Anyway, you have to go.
Yes.
Lovely to see you. Lovely to speak to you.
Yes.
Have a lovely weekend.
You
Have
too.
a great weekend. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.